Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life." Please be seated. I took out my binoculars and scanned the tree line ahead of me, looking for the familiar yellow and blue markers that blazed the trail that we were hiking along. And I had no luck. There was no marker in sight, no next blaze, no next waypoint along the path. We were day 3 or 4 into a 14-day backpacking trip from north to south in Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh, this little republic in between Armenia and Azerbaijan. This was not the first time we had lost our way. The path, while an established route, was a little rough. The waypoints irregularly spaced, markers sometimes showing up on telephones or trees, sometimes nowhere to be found at all. And so I pulled out our map, and the three of us looked at it. The map for this particular trail was a 1970s era Soviet geological survey map with a blue line drawn on it to mark where the trail went. It was of, shall we say, limited use. The map gave us no clues for where exactly we were meant to go. And so we looked out and puzzled over this field that we had come out to, where the path that we had been walking on seemed to diverge in about 18 different directions. A ditch running this way, a cow path going this way, some rut that was indistinguishable whether it was a cow path or just some drainage area or a dry stream bed going the other direction. There was no clear way forward. We were stuck. We argued over which way was probably the right way. We walked 40 yards this way, only for the trail to peter out to nothing. We walked a few yards down this way, only to realize it almost certainly wasn't the path. We tried backtracking to no avail. We just got to the last waypoint that we had seen and had no way how to move forward. It was at that point, despite all the hubris of 3 20-something-year-old guys hiking together, that we realized that we needed to ask for help. We passed a village a little ways back, a dusty dirt road running in front of a few houses. So we decided we were going to see if we could find someone who we could ask for directions. As we walked back to the village, we found someone walking along, maybe going to work in a nice collared shirt and dress shoes. So we stopped him. And in my broken and halting Russian, I said, give us directions? We're trying to find these marks. They're blue and they're yellow, and sometimes they're on trees. And he looked at me puzzled. So I tried again. And then finally, I could see the light going on. Oh, yes, I know what you were talking about. This man introduced himself as Martin, asked our names, asked what we were doing there. And he said, yes, I will. And then I said to him, will you give us directions? Tell us the way. And he looked at me for a minute and said, no, I cannot tell you the way, but I will take you there myself. He said, first, come with me. I need to get something from my house. And so the three of us hikers looked at each other. Are we really going to go with this guy? I guess we don't have a choice. As all we can do is trust him. And so we went with Martin back to his house, where he and his wife fed us and replenished our water supply, gave us food to eat, told us stories of what life in Nagorno-Karabakh had been like through the tumultuous years of the 90s into the present day. And then after half an hour or so, Martin said, okay, it's time. Let's go. And so we walked from the house up the dusty dirt road until finally it turned onto a narrow, rutted-out dirt road, muddy in spots, and Martin led the way, hiking in his dress shoes, getting them covered in mud, the mud covering the cuffs of his pants, but still he led us on. Around twists and turns that we wouldn't have been able to realize ourselves, through this rutted out road, turning onto one path after another, until finally he led us to the edge of a forest where there was only one clear path moving forward. 2 or 3 miles he had hiked with us, getting us to that point where the way ahead of us was clear. "This is the way," he said. "You can find it from here." And so Martin turned around and went back home and sent us on our way to continue our journey. "And you know the way to the place where I am going," Jesus said to his disciples. This conversation that Jesus is having with his disciples in our gospel reading today is part of his farewell discourse, part of his last conversation with his disciples on Maundy Thursday, on the night before he will be handed over to the Roman authorities to be tried and tortured and crucified. He knows that these are his last precious moments with his disciples, the last chance to offer them the assurance and the comfort they're going to need to face everything that is going to happen over the course of the next day, the next 4 days. All of the uncertainty that they will be plunged into as he is put to death. And so he's trying to give them the confidence, give them this assurance that they will know the way, that there will be a path forward, that they will not be left alone, that this is not the end. But in typical fashion, in John's gospel and the rest of the gospels, the disciples don't exactly understand what he is trying to say to them. And so Thomas looks at him and says, "Lord, we do not know where you are going. Show us the way." Thomas is asking Jesus for directions. How do we move forward? How do we find you? How do we get to where you are going? What are the steps that we need to take? Tell us what to do. Thomas wants certainty. He wants directions. He wants to know the sequence of the next steps to go through. One, then the next, then the next, then the next. Do this, then that, this, then that. But in an even more typical fashion, Jesus refuses to answer him directly, to give him exactly what he is asking for. Instead, he looks at him and says, "Thomas, I am the way and the truth and the life." Thomas wants directions, but instead Jesus says, "I will be your guide. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. I am the one who created you. I am the one who sustains you. I am the one who will journey with you. I will lead you where you need to go." It's not for you to follow the directions. It's only for you to trust in me, to trust that I am leading you where you need to go, to trust that I am leading you towards God, that I am leading you to a life fulfilled by and lived in the fullness of God's love. Come with me. Let me be your guide. Let me accompany you on this journey. I may be leaving you in terms of how you have known me. You will not have me the way you have been used to, but I will still be with you. I will still be guiding you. I will still accompany you on each step of your journey. I am the way and the truth and the life. Finding our way along this path in Nagorno-Karabakh, all we could do was trust Martin. All we could do was trust our guide. Of our own capacity and ability, we were hopeless to find the way. We never would have made it to the end of this hike, except through the people who offered themselves to be our guides. We had to set aside our pride that we could do everything on our own, that by enough scrutinizing of the Soviet-era map or enough scanning the tree line, trying to find that next mark, we would be able to figure it out. We were never going to figure it out. It was only when we let go of that illusion of self-sufficiency, it was only when we put our trust in another that we could finally be shown the way, that we could make it to our destination, we could make it to the next waypoint, we could make it to the next village. All we could do was to trust Martin, to trust that he would guide us where we needed to go. When Jesus is talking about having faith in him, having faith, and through him, faith in God, he's not talking about belief as this sort of abstract thing. He's not talking about faith as the sort of signing on the dotted line that you agree with everything in the Nicene Creed. It's not faith as this sort of intellectual exercise or these formulas that we recite again and again. Those can be important. Those can be a reflection of our faith. But faith, as Jesus knows it, and he's trying to impart it to these disciples, is much more about trust. About trusting him and trusting in God. Trusting in those moments when we reach the limits of our own capacities, our own abilities to find the way forward, that God will reveal a way where there is no way, that God will show us the path forward, that God will bring us to that next waypoint, that next signpost on our journey, that through Jesus Christ, God will accompany us through our journey in this life, that if we put our trust in him, the way will open up. There are so many points in life when we come to those places where we don't know the way forward, where it seems that there might not be any way of getting through the moment that we're living in. Maybe it's anxiety over the world, the larger world around us, a country at war, the global climate crisis. Maybe it's seeing people in our towns or communities or states or countries being arrested, deported. A culture of fear. And feeling so small in the midst of it and unable to do anything about it. Maybe that point where we don't know the way forward is something much more personal. Maybe it's the death of a loved one, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a child, a dear friend. Or maybe it's a life-altering diagnosis that plunges us suddenly into an uncertain future. Maybe it's the end to a relationship that had defined so much of our lives, and suddenly without it, it seems like we have no idea who we are or where we are going. Our lives can be full of those moments where we do not know the way forward. And in those moments, there's a temptation to look for certainty, to look for a set of directions, to turn to the $1 million+ self-help industry, to pick up another airport book that gives us 5 steps to finding meaning in life, or 48 rules that will lead to a more fulfilled existence. The temptation to get a set of directions, if you only do this, then everything will be better, is very real. But what Jesus offers to his disciples, what Jesus offers to the people who seek him, seek to follow him, is not a set of directions. It's not 8 steps to a more fulfilled existence. It's not 5 stages of grief to work through. But is a relationship. I am the way and the truth and the life. Trust me. I will guide you through this. You will make it through, not of your own strength, not of your own power, not of your own abilities, but with me. Put your trust in God. Open yourselves to the love of God, and you will make it through. I will be your guide. I will be your companion on the journey. If only you will trust me, I will be your way. I will be the truth. I will be your life. May we put our trust in God. May we trust Jesus to lead us in those moments where we cannot see the way forward. May we be able to let go of our own need to feel self-sufficient so that we might trust God to lead us, trust one another to accompany us on the way. May we open ourselves to the love of God, a love that will lead us and guide us, a love that will accompany us through even those things that we feel like there is no hope of making it through. May we trust in God. May we trust in Jesus Christ, our way and our truth and our life. Amen.